Well, you've been waiting for it, so here it is, our apple Cyser. So stick around. Welcome back to the Four Seasons. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. Today we're doing an apple mead, apple hydromel actually, which if you ever do an apple mead, it's called a Cyser. Some people say Cyser. Cyser tends to be the most popular. If you do it low ABV, then it becomes a Cyser Hydromel. And as you know, in our Hydra series, we've been trying out different recipes and using our Hydromel, the original Hydromel recipe, as the mother to create other hydromels. And this is a way that you can extend your yeast. And we've been experiencing some issues in the past with this. We've had some workarounds. There's been a number of things we've been playing around with this series. So stick around, watch this video, see how I make our Cyser, our Hydra Cy, and then we'll come back and we'll do a tasting. See you in a minute. Hey guys, I just need to step in for a moment and just give some bad news. Part of the YouTube curse is things never work out right on camera. And if you deal with anything with YouTube, you would know. So basically what I'm saying here is the first part of the video about how I made the hydromel, I can't find it. Yeah. So this is just something to let you know about what happened. Not about the video, because I'm still trying to figure out what happened there. I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that I'm switching cameras and having to save files in different ways, and that's the problem there. But long story short, what I did for the recipe is I used a half gallon of the hydromel, and then I used a gallon of some Honeycrisp apple juice from Walmart. Now I don't know if it was really Honeycrisp apples that they used or if it was Honeycrisp flavor. I don't trust marketing anymore of any type of foods, but at any rate, that's what I did, and then I let it set, and it took quite a bit of time. Oh, and it also used a pound of a half pound of Gallberry honey. So half pound of Gallberry honey, half gallon of Honeycrisp apple juice from Walmart, half gallon of the hydromel. That was the recipe. Pure, simple, down and dirty. So now we'll continue on. You'll see the next part, which is the most important part, I believe. See you in a sec. Hey gang, it is the next day. I wish I could say that my edits are so good that they take multiple days, but it was just fact, it was getting late. So yeah, I screwed up again. I only got part of my extract, or what I call my tincture. So in this case, what I did is when I was making my wine, I was also doing a carrot apple raisin salad. If you hadn't seen that video, go over and see that video. You'll see that I had 2 Fuji apples and a Honeycrisp apple for that recipe. Alright, so I took the peels and put them into a pint mason jar and filled it up with some cheap white rum, clear rum that I got from Walmart. And I let it set for a few weeks. And then we're going to cut to the next step. And so this is where I've got some apples for a Waldorf salad. You can see that recipe as well. That's already posted. But you can see what I did with skins of those. Same thing, but I'll show you that. And the whole reason was that the flavor just wasn't there. And so I found that when you're doing an extract or a tincture, and you want to have good apple flavor, it's good to have a variety of apples, especially if you're only using skins. So now we're going to continue on with the video. Okay, so we have two apples here. One is a Gala, and the other is a Granny Smith. Granny Smiths are tart. Galas are very sweet. The flavor in a Granny Smith is as close as you can get to a cider apple as possible in a supermarket. These right here, they're just an eaten apple. There's some other apples that look like this. If you'll look, you'll see some yellow colorations, little yellow, I guess you call them blushes. Really not blush, because blush is supposed to be pink, but little shine throughs of yellow. Two that are most popular is a Honeycrisp, and the other is Fuji. So Fuji will look somewhat like this. It will have some yellow splotches coming through, but it will be almost a burgundy brown. This is red. It's not bright red, but it is red. If you look at a Honeycrisp, the Honeycrisp, one side will be almost yellow, the other side will be bright candy red, and then almost candy apple red, which is kind of funny, being that's an apple. And then the sides will be blotches of varying degrees of yellow and red. Alright, but I love Galas. I think they have phenomenal flavor. So what we're going to do now is was gifted 2 apple slicers. You cannot find these. This cores and slices the apples. So what I'm going to do now is just place it over the stem like so, and then you just press down, and then it comes through on the other side. So I'm going to finish this up real quick and I'll show you the results. Okay, we got some beautiful apples right here, and all I'm going to do is now take my paring knife and do what it's supposed to do, which is just peel these, or pare, as they say, the apples. So we're going to finish doing this, and then I'll be right back. This right here is the apple skins I've already had in alcohol. If you remember, these were Fuji apples and some Fuji apple and some Honeycrisps. They kind of gave up the ghost, and it's still not the scent and flavor that I'm wanting, so I'm going to add in the Gala and the Granny apple skins to this. But first I got to drain this off and then get rid of these skins. These reusable coffee strainers, if you're going to do home brewing, you'll use this more than you realize. Get you some, and also get you some hand strainers. I haven't been able to find hand strainers in the store. Otherwise, I would have this in a hand strainer that would fit over this bowl, because it would be so much easier. But we're going to work with what we got. Let's see. That kept all the skins in there, and then I can put them into another container shortly. So we're just going to let this finish draining. Again, if it was in one of those sieves that fits over a bowl, which I cannot find them. I've been trying to get a hold of them. When I do find them, they're so expensive I can't get them. I'm not paying the prices that they're wanting. This whole nonsense about supply chain disruptions is about to get beyond ridiculous. But anyway, I'm going to let this finish out draining, and then we'll put the skins into the jar. I'll get a funnel, which another thing is hard to find is funnels. I'll get a funnel, and we'll put this in to the jar, the liquid, and we'll continue with our extraction process. Okay, so this is filled. Next thing we need to do is put a funnel over here and pour in our liquid. There we go. This right here will set for about a week or two. I'm not going to let it set for too long because we got to get the Cyser Hydromel finished. But I do want to get some extra flavor coming out of this because it's not as pronounced as I want. I think the Granny Smith apple is going to be what I'm eating. This is our Hydra It's our Cyser Hydromel. It was done on 8/22. This is September 10th. So it's got just a little bit of haze, not much. I'm trying out an experiment. There's some content creators on YouTube that they've been doing something that I was told you couldn't do. All the information that I got back when I first started brewing, which, good grief, that's been at least 30 years ago, back when my dad was brewing, and I was a child, said that you could not add pectic enzyme, pectase, after a brew was done. And just because experts that wrote books and stuff said you couldn't do it, we just never did do it. And it's like, why waste a valuable resource? So a lot of content creators have started with great success using pectase at the end of the fermentation cycle. So they're actually putting twice the amount recommended. So you use a half teaspoon of pectase per gallon. I always do a gallon for my YouTube videos because it's easier to video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a teaspoon, not a half teaspoon, but a teaspoon, because now fermentation has ceased. And I'm going to take this off, add the pectase, and this is my pectic enzyme. So pectase, pectic enzyme, same thing. I'll put that in there. We'll let this sit. You gotta let it sit for about 3 to 4 days. They say that this will make everything gem quality. So we'll put that in there and see what happens. So let me take their airlock off and we'll go from there. Alright, so I'm going to add in my teaspoon of pectic enzyme in here. Try not to make too big of a mess because I didn't use my funnel. And then you'll notice I got a little jar here. And that's my my tincture that I've been working on to add to this towards the end. And I've noticed that it's got a bit of a haze, but it has all the skins and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a teaspoon in here because it's got a lot of material. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the airlock on here, put the cap on here, shake them up, and let this sit for about 3 days is what they say. Okay, so we have this right here. We're just going to stir this up real good, shake it. It's off gassing some, so you may see the balloon go up. But the idea is just to let this kind of get some momentum going there. We're shaking this up as well. This right here will start breaking down what pectins are in all this here so that we'll have a nice clear tincture. And then you'll see me in moment when everything's ready and we're going to start bottling. Alright, today is September 10th. Life got in the way. There was also some issues with this brew, if I remember right, about it not being totally fermented out. Took forever for it to ferment. Once it kicked back up, it didn't want to. It's such a low ABV, and the residual sugars were so low, but it took forever to get it going. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the airlock off. We're going to do a hydrometer reading and see where we're at now. So this is at 0.996, almost 998. So what we're going to do is consider this to be done, and we're going to get a taste, back sweeten, acid adjust, do all the good stuff that we normally do. Actually, I got ahead of myself. First thing we got to do is siphon this off. So let me siphon it. I'm not going to show you that, but basically I use an auto siphon, and then this has to be higher than the vessel I'm putting it in, and from there we'll transfer the liquid over, and then we'll do all the adjusting. So I've taken a sample of this, and by the way, everything I've used has been sanitized in a 30% bleach solution. So just use regular household bleach. Don't get the non-splash or the concentrate or any of that. I found that they don't work as well. Just use regular bleach. If in doubt, just get Clorox brand regular, because some of these off brands, like the Walmart bleach, I tried that. I actually bleached a green stock and it was still green, so it had no bleaching action whatsoever. It was useless. So a lot of these off-brand bleaches do not work. But anyway, everything's been sanitized. I'm trying this right now. I have a little cup here that I'm just tasting and doing my adjustments with. Right now, got a good flavor. There's a little bit of acid. I know I didn't do any acid, but there's a little bit of acid. I don't know if I'm going to do any tannin adjustment. I mean, you're supposed to do tannin adjustments if it's needed at least a day before, if not longer, because it can cause sediment to come out when you bottle. And I'm just in a crunch. I mean, if you hear a beeping in the background, that's my wife. She has a booming shirt business. She imprints shirts, she does mugs, things of that nature. So, I mean, she's got to work, I got to work, we're in a shared space. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm probably going to sweeten this first. There is a run on erythritol. So I can't even get this anymore, this whole earth. That was the cheapest. I had to find something from, the cheapest I found was from Micro Ingredients. But evidently the Ukrainian-Russian conflict is causing a rush on corn, and so erythritol prices have quadrupled, and you can't get erythritol now. And if you do, you're going to pay a pretty penny. And so I paid a pretty penny, unfortunately. So let's try a little bit of erythritol and see how this tastes compared to what we got now. So this is 3 tablespoons right here. What I'm going to do is stir this up and we'll see how this works. Okay, I'm going to take a small sample and see how this tastes after I've stirred it in for a while. It's cold, so it's not going to stir in quite the best in the world. It'd help if I brought it to room temp, but again, time is of the essence with everything going on in my life right now. Yeah, still need more erythritol adjustment. It's actually got more sour as I've added erythritol, which is funny. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and add some more and see what happens. I'm going to add 3 more tablespoons for a total of 6 tablespoons and see how that works. In between tastings, I always get me a sip of water. That's important so that you cleanse your palate a little bit, so that you know what you're tasting. Wow, that acid is kicking. I'm going to do, that was 6 tablespoons. I'm going to do 6 more tablespoons because it is not any sweeter. Alright, so I'm adding in 6 more tablespoons, but what's neat is I had to switch over to this new brand that I've got. I'll pour this in there. This is the brand Micro Ingredients Erythritol. It's a 6-pound bag, and in the 6-pound bag they include a tablespoon scoop, which is so neat. So I'm very happy about that because I've got my own dedicated scoop for this now. So now I'm going to stir this up and we'll see how this tastes. Wow. This thing is not wanting to sweeten up at all. It's taking every bit of the erythritol and just laughing at it. And it seems to be getting more and more acidic each time I add erythritol to it. Like, I don't know, it's just sour and not changing like it should. I'm going to add 6 more tablespoons to this. So we already had 18. So this is going to be 24 tablespoons. Alrighty. So let's see how this works. I'm going to add in a half tablespoon of sugar because I'm also been having a problem with my brews not being carbonated good enough. So then I've been worried about yeast fatigue. So what I'm doing is, this is Red Star Premier Blanc. And I'm going to take just I'd say maybe a quarter to an 1/8 or 1/8 to a quarter teaspoon and put that in here. This is a champagne yeast, and so champagne yeast will not produce the sediment like bread yeast will, and champagne yeast will chew through sugars very quickly. And I'm wondering if maybe carbonating with champagne yeast might be the trick that I need to do, because we're using a bread yeast base. Alright, so we got 9 full bottles here. These green, these are beer bottles. Grolsch, I think is how you pronounce it. I've said it before, they were cheaper to buy the beer and get the bottles from them, but after tasting beer, I think it would have came out better if I just bought the bottles. That's garbage beer. However, this also holds a little bit more than what these bottles hold, so I think these are like 16-ounce bottles. But anyway, now I'm going to add in some carbonation drops. Carbonation drop is just a measured out tablet of sugar. I've already added in a half tablespoon of sugar into this, and so that will just give a little extra fizz. Not enough to create a bottle bomb. Still within safe range. And I'm just going to put one in each one. And gotta remember not to do, too many in a bottle, because that will create a bottle bomb. So I have to remember how many I'm doing and try and do a video and remember that and talk. Yeah, I'm not good at multitasking. But they're all in here now. The next thing we'll do is we'll cap them. And you see my capper and all that, so we'll just cap them. Okay, so we have 8 beautifully capped and bottled drinks here. We have one that is a swing top bottle. This is going to be the taster. The swing top bottle will be the taster. I'll put this aside. I'll label it. These others are going into a storage device. And this is good to do because you can have explosions. You could do everything right and it still explode. So glass, there could be some type of microfracture you don't know about. You could have created a microfracture doing the capping. There's a whole host of things that can go wrong when you've done everything perfectly right. So it's always good practice to have them in some type of storage shelter so you don't have short. Well, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that part of the video where we made this beverage, and now we're going to see how it fares. Is it good, bad? I'll tell you the truth. So, looking at this right now, I'm not happy. I mean, it is crystal clear. Don't get me wrong. This is sapphire color. This is a dark, dark sapphire color. So it's got a good color to it, and it's gem quality clear. What I'm not happy about is the fact it's lacking effervescence. It is not sparkling. There are no bubbles. I don't like that. So, just on the smell, my goodness, does it smell good. Normally, it's like new smell. It's, all the, and I've said it before, I think I need to explain again. A new smell, when you're talking about alcohol, is a combination of yeasty, bready smell, sweet sugar smell, and strong alcohol smell. So when you got those three combined, that is what some people call new. And if it has some smell of rotten eggs or something like that, that means that you as the brewer made a mistake somehow, some way. And you need to figure out what it was. Sometimes that can be that you overloaded your yeast. It could be that you stressed your yeast. It could be that there's some type of contaminants. Certain metals will cause that smell. There's a whole host of stuff that can cause like a rotten egg smell, whatever. And I've had brews that had that happen. I mean, if you're going to brew at home, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have issues that weren't really mistakes, but they were issues. You're going to have all sorts of stuff. It's a learning curve. And that's okay. It's all right to make little accidents here and there. Because normally you can easily overcome them. It doesn't mean you just throw out your entire brew. It just means maybe you need to age it for a while. Maybe you need to put some oak in it. Maybe you need to do some other stuff. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean that you got a brew that's contaminated. It just means that there's some issues and you need to further your education, gain some acumen, and overcome it and see it as a learning opportunity. In this case, there are no issues with the smell. It smells inviting. Man, it smells of Honeycrisp apples. And I mean, that's one of the more popular types of sweet apples. So yeah, it's welcome. It doesn't have an alcohol smell to it, anything of that nature. Oh dear God. It's rare. I mean rare to get an apple mead to taste of apples this quickly and to not have a new smell. That right there, that's the bomb.com right there. Man, if this right here had sparkles to it, if it had some fizz, it would taste like that sparkling apple cider. And so I've got to clarify something. In America, which that's where I'm based out of, I know that most of y'all people in Europe couldn't tell from my accent, but I'm from the American South. Aha. Alright, so yeah, I am Southern and I am based in America. And we see things differently than other parts of the world, say Europe. So when we say cider, we mean cloudy juice. Cloudy juice is apple cider, and that cloudiness to us imparts a feeling of superior flavor and taste because it's cloudy. If it's clear juice, it is apple juice. We really, because of Prohibition and because of the churches creating this draconian system about alcohol, it was illegal to produce alcohol for a long period of time in American history. And so if you reported your neighbor as producing alcohol, whether or not it was founded, you could do a baseless accusation. And let's say that they were your competitors because you was neighboring farmers and you didn't like them edging in on your territory. You could report them to the authorities, and the authorities would burn their crops down without any other justification other than a report and a belief. This is one of the reasons why I cannot stand the overreach of government. And this is also another reason why I cannot stand churches and religious people of any type, no matter what your religious affiliation, getting involved in politics. Because there's been so much harm caused by especially the Christian church, but we're seeing it with other religions as well. It's not just Christianity, but definitely the Christian church has caused a lot of harm. And during this period of time of Prohibition, about 200 different varieties of apples went extinct. So those are apple flavors that we don't know what they taste like anymore. We won't have access to them. Some of these were baking apples, some of these were eating apples, all these different varieties, all these different types, gone just because somebody reported their neighbor to the authorities or reported a competitor to the authorities, and the authorities took axes and gasoline and diesel and flames and burnt these trees down to where there's nothing to them, and the government never did have to answer for their crimes. And so now in America, we do not have a culture like, say, in Germany or Great Britain, where a cider is basically an apple wine, for lack of a better term. It is where you took apple juice and fermented it out. and that is your cider. The same thing with pears. We have a lot of pears in the South. And so elsewhere, if you ferment it out, it becomes a perry, which is very good, by the way. But we don't have that heritage. And so we, in our culture in America, we don't equate apple cider to being alcoholic. It's just cloudy juice. And we don't equate, apple juice as being the same thing as apple cider. It's just the fact that one is cloudy and superior to the other. So then we have something else, and it happens around Christmas, New Year's. Because there is a heritage elsewhere in certain parts of the country, and I'm talking about America, not necessarily the American South, but other parts of the country. They will sometimes, because we didn't have it here in America, they would import apple cider that was carbonated, and I'm talking about the alcoholic cider, for very special things. And normally this is people that are of German heritage, something along that line. And so that's normally up in your northern states. So they have this where they would import European-made hard apple cider, because we say hard to mean alcoholic. And then they would come in nice glass bottles instead of like beer bottles. And you would pop them open, and that's what you would have around Christmas. That is what you would have around New Year's as a festival drink that you could drink without getting too inebriated. It's not like champagne where it's a higher alcohol content. And definitely not like a punch that might be spiked to where you're getting inebriated pretty quickly. And so what I was trying to do was make a sparkling hard apple cider-like flavor, but I didn't get the sparkles. And that's the downfall of this. I should have put, I'll have to go back and I'll have to look and see what I did, but I should have put champagne yeast in this and bumped up the sugar. I'm using the new swing top bottles, so it should have corked. That's the thing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why, unless it shouldn't be too soon, but again, with my schedule, I'm doing anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks, so it might not have had time. There was a little bit of a pop, but not much. So I don't know what the issue is. I'm not even seeing bubbles running up here, so there's no effervescence whatsoever. And there should be. Maybe another 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know. But other than that, on the flavor, I know I did a trick with the apple skins, and you can taste that. You can taste fresh apple. And I don't remember that being imparted too much when I first did it, but I knew it would mellow out and work out beautifully, and it did. This right here is killer. If this had sparkles to it, it was sparkling. Popped up some sugar, added some champagne yeast, carbonated this out to fare thee well. I would be just as pleased as all get out to hand this to somebody as a little gift. Nothing, you give your friends little gifts sometimes, just to give them gifts, especially around Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Just give them a bottle. I'd be tickled to give them this. I would be very delighted. This is something that I made. I wanted you to try this. This is awesome. I feel it's awesome. This represents me. Yeah. I would do this. It's just the sparkles that's lacking. It hits every single way. Now you could put a cinnamon stick in with those apple peels, and that would pump up the flavor. I don't like cinnamon. I really, really, really don't like cinnamon. So understand that when I say to use cinnamon, yeah, it might be called for. Now, I like Mexican cinnamon. You can also get Ceylon cinnamon, and that would be very good. But I think some cinnamon, you could put some allspice instead of cinnamon. I think that would be very good. And that would actually be more my wheelhouse. I kind of like the allspice flavor. You could put a little bit of nutmeg. That would go very well with this. You see where I'm going with this? Any type of spice that would generally be apple pie spices. So you could even take a teaspoon or two and put of apple pie spice in, ground apple pie spice, in that alcohol with apple skins. And I think that would be enough. You don't want much. You just want a hint. That's what I'm saying. Just a hint. You know, I'm invoking my inner Bob Ross. I do artwork, and he talks about light touches, just a hint, and you just that little bit is enough to set off a whole painting. Same way with flavors. A lot of people, they do everything so heavy-handed that they mess up what they're doing. And so just a little bit of cooking spice in this, just a little bit of some type of flavoring that's a spice that enhances the apple a little bit would set it off. Sweetness level, acidity, flavor, all those are hitting high marks. Man, there's a little bit of a bitter bite right in the middle, and that's where that fresh peel comes in, because there's a little bit of astringency there that you get from a peel, and so you're getting a little bit of that at the end. Or actually at the middle, and then it goes off real quick, real smooth all the way back. And so it just is a clean finish. So clean. So good. So yeah, I would definitely do something to carbonate this. I keep going back to it just because it's so good. Definitely carbonate it. It needs that little bit of spice, and it's also going to have some astringency, so that'll carry all that out. That'll really round that out when you put something like cinnamon or allspice. They have astringencies to them as well, and that just kind of carries those flavor, and it actually kind of level out any peaks and just give it more umptuous flavor. Sweetness is there, acid is there. Everything, it's hitting every single mark it should. So what am I giving this? Alright, so here's my scale. 10, really there's no need of trying to improve it. This is as good as it's ever going to be. 1, I'm throwing this away. It's garbage. I'm not going to ever drink it. It's not going to get better with age. I even have questions about whether or not it's safe to drink. 5. Okay? That means, yeah, I'll drink it, but it's not going to be the first thing that I drink. It means that if there's anything that might be available that's slightly better, I'll drink that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with these problems that it has, what do I give it? I give it an 8. That's pretty high. I've talked about making an Acer blend with this. I really need to try that. That might be fantastic. That might be my 10. Just as it is right now, though, if it had sparkles to it, if it had that carbonation, and if it had some type of flavoring component other than the Acer blend, which we haven't tried, like maybe some apple pie spice, just a little bit, teeny tiny, like a teaspoon, I think that would make it a 9. I think that would make it a 9. Now, if this was an Acer blend, we're looking at probably Acer blend. In case you hadn't known, go back to my Hydra Ace video. That is where you ferment out maple syrup. And again, Southern, we do not use a lot of maple products. That is not common for us. So the fact that I'm even mentioning maple is kind of weird for a Southerner. But when it's done right, it's really, really good. And I'm thinking if I took a little spice, about half of this apple and half Acer blend, and merged that together, I would have the perfect mead. Or as near perfect as I think I'll ever get. So, give it a try. I mean, what could hurt? You're making great mead. But, yeah, definitely try this one. If you haven't already, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you like the content. Make a comment down below if you've tried this before, if you ever had a problem, if you want me to try something else, anything of that nature. Comment down below. That really, not only does it help me understand what you're going through and what you're wanting and interact with you, but there's an algorithm to YouTube and it's considered an engagement, and so YouTube reacts accordingly. And so if you comment, it's telling YouTube, hey, look, we're going to go ahead and push his videos. If you like this this video, you push that like button. It says that people are engaging and they push this video out to others. If you hit the thumbs up button and you also comment, it's even better. Another thing, subscribe if you hadn't already. Now, some of my older viewers have told me that they were told by YouTube that they have to pay a fee. Alright, so let me explain something. There's a running joke in the YouTube community. YouTube has a paid service, and no one subscribes to it. And what it is that you're paying them so that you don't have to see ads. And so that is what they've been trying to promote for years now. And no one ever subscribes to it. And they probably should. Really and truly. So I think it's like $14-15 to subscribe to their service. When I say subscribe, I am not talking about YouTube's paid service. Do not pay YouTube any money ever. Okay? Can we get that down first? I am telling you, never pay YouTube. They're getting enough money from you just by watching the ads and watching the videos. So do not pay them any money. Now, what I mean by subscribing, if you go to my channel, there is a subscribe button. If you hit that, it is free. You do not have to pay a dime. And you should never pay a dime. I'm never going to charge you any money for anything. I'm never going to ask you any money for anything, ever. Okay? So let's get that down. So if you see something asking for money, something's wrong. Okay? So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and then there's a notification bell. Hit that notification bell. So what does that do? Well, in the YouTube algorithm, it looks at the subscribers coming back as a good thing, okay? So if you come back to my videos time after time after time, but you're not a subscriber, it sees you differently than if you're subscribed to me and you come back time after time after time. Then they're like, okay, this person is more important than what they were before they were a subscriber. It sounds stupid, I know, but that's the way the algorithm looks at it. So make yourself more important to YouTube by being a subscriber to channels. It helps the content creators out and it costs you nothing. That notification bell, all that does is it lets you know when I have a new video upload. So you don't have to wait for me posting on Facebook or Gab or Twitter or Instagram or any of the other social media sites, LinkedIn. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to try to hunt and find me and try to figure out if I'm doing a channel or doing a video this week or not. You'll be notified. YouTube will do that for you for free. So that's something that you need to go ahead and do. That way you know, okay, he's uploaded a new video. Let's see what he's talking about. Let's see what kind of crazy things he's up to. And do that. So please, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you again next time. Bye.